Well, welcome back. Now, in this episode, I'll discuss how to grow your home business. For sure, everyone's going to have an opinion. The challenge for you is going to be, are those opinions good? Well, who knows? Everyone's giving you opinions. So you need to be cautious on who you're listening to if you're going to start to grow that home business. Now, people really mean well, but you must be careful of who you're going to listen to. Not everyone has good opinions. Now, it's your job to seek people that are already in business and see what they're doing. Don't just ask anyone. Confine your asking to people that have experience. In other words, find people that are already making money. They're already using their own money to make money. More than likely, they'll be the successful people. However, everyone wants to give you advice when you get into a business. So someone that's making money and spending their own money, they're probably knowing what they're talking about and can give you good opinions to help you grow your home business. Now, it's going to take a lot more than an idea in a business to be successful. Is that idea a problem-solving product? Well, now you're on the right track. As an entrepreneur, it's very exciting to be in the home business. However, it can be chaotic if you make big mistakes. So the way to avoid that is talk to a lot of business people that are already doing it. Whether they're in an offline business or an online business, you need to seek out experienced people to get opinions. Of course, you always want to focus on what you already know. So if you know something and you have a specialty that other people want, now you probably have something to sell. My suggestion would be to research and investigate what problems people are trying to solve. Now, if you can solve problems, you're going to have a successful business. A lot of people don't figure that out. They just go in business and think everybody wants their product. That's not the truth. The truth is people search for people to help them. So you want to answer that question to yourself. What's your specialty and why would people buy your product or your service? If you don't have the answer to that, don't get into business. All right, now there's hundreds of thousands of businesses we could talk about. I'm not going to do that. We're going to talk about how to grow your business. Now, the way you're going to grow it is you're going to grow it because you have a service or a product that other people want. My suggestion is to narrowcast it. In other words, one or two products is plenty, preferably one product. If you try to do many, how are you going to keep up with all that? So the key to the money vault, in my opinion, is answer the question, what is your service or your product going to be? Why is your product better than the competition? If you're not better, believe me, the customers are going to find the competition and give up on you. So in this episode, what am I talking about? I'm talking about how to grow your business. You're going to do that by letting the world know it's there. The first question you need to answer is, do you have a plan? Do you really know what customers want? If you can answer that question and you have a problem-solving product, you're going to be okay. So how to grow your home business? So let me repeat. You want a problem-solving product, and then you have to let the world know about it. So why are most businesses successful? Well, number one, they get referrals. That helps. Number two, they understand media. Number three, they have a problem-solving product. So people will refer others to you if you can solve a problem. Now, if they refer people and you can't solve the problem, that's going to be worse than if you had never had the referral. So lots of people are out there giving you business advice. So where does that come from? Well, our system says, go to school, go to night school, and whatever. All right, I'm not negative on the schools. What I am negative on is people teaching business that all they know is that one book that they've read, and they're a professor in the school, and they're teaching that one book. I'm not suggesting don't go to the class. I am suggesting be cautious what you get from people that are not already in business. Be cautious from whatever opinions you get from people that are not spending their own money. It makes a big difference if the people started their own business and they're spending their own money. Those are the people you need to seek out if you want to have a good business. How are you going to do that? You're going to have to spend the time and search them out. All right, have you thought about media? What's media? Well, media is television. It's the newspapers. It's the internet. You need to expose your product to the media so people know that it's available. So if you're going to grow this business, you need to expose it. If nobody knows it's there, you'll sit at home waiting and waiting. Well, you're going to wait a long time before that business is going to grow. I can tell you that right now. All right, for example, so let's use my example. I have a product that's not well known. As a matter of fact, most of the product is hidden from the public. So I have to change that. Well, it's pretty hard to change that with media, so I have to use many different types of media. So understand what I'm getting at, and I'll give you actual examples of what I'm going to do. All right, briefly, my business is to buy property at low prices, and then I want to resell them at low prices so that I'm different than the traditional real estate market. So I want to buy it low, and I want to sell it low. Now, how am I going to do that? Well, I'm going to buy those properties at tax-defaulted auctions, and then I'm going to sell them to the public, and I'm going to use all the media that's available. So Craigslist is available. The multiples listing service. eBay's available. Zillow's available. Okay, Trulia is available. You're getting the idea. I'm going to let the world know that I have this property for sale. Now, am I going to be able to attract people just because I've advertised? No. I'm going to advertise below the market. So I'm going to buy below market, I'm going to sell below market, and create buyers because I'm looking for those bargain hunters. All right, but I have to spend the money on media because the public doesn't know that I have these properties. How will they find out? Well, I'm going to have to use media to let them know. Can I use the newspaper? Can I use blogs? Can I use television? I can use any media that I want, but I have to let the world know that I'm a competitor and that I'm going to have prices better than the other competitor. So nobody knows about your services or your problem-solving business unless you use media. So I have to solve a problem. I solve a problem for the bargain hunters because I'm below the market. That makes sense. I solve the problem for those people that don't have good financial ability. So I give them installment sales. I buy all my properties online. How can I do that? Because 5,000 auctions are advertised online. So you're getting the idea. I'm using the media, and I'm going to let the world know that I have tax defaulted properties, that I'll sell them. So finding them is easy. That's not bad. All right. So I can evaluate them before I ever buy them. All right. Now, what am I going to do to sell them? Well, I can get market comparables and look, I'm below the market. Well, great. I'll sell it below the market. So I could take a $100,000 property. I might be able to buy it at auction for 10 or 20 or 30 cents on the dollar. Well, if I get it for 20 cents on the dollar, I'm not going to try to sell it for 100,000. I'm going to try to sell it for 65% of that, or $6,500. Now, where am I going to find the buyers? Well, just like I said, they're on Craigslist, they're on Zillow, they're on multiple listing service. How about if I put signs all over the property? How about if I do flyers in the neighborhood? You're getting the idea. Plus, I can use all the electronic sites. Can I do all that from home? That's how I'm growing my home business. I just know what I want to do, and then I have to use media to get me there. Is that going to make a difference? It's going to be huge. If I have a $100,000 tax assessment and I'll sell it for 65, do you suppose that will attract people? Absolutely. So if I only bought it for 20 cents on the dollar, I've got a huge profit. So you can do the math. Lots of profit. So, but you don't have to stop there. What you could do simultaneously, while you're in the process of selling, you could have a whole story about how you're willing to finance that property, and you could use installment sales. All right. Now, I'm going to use brokers. A lot of people say, I don't want to use a broker because I don't want to pay them. Forget about that. Use the broker, male or female. If they've got a track record, you want to use them. Now, you're going to have to interview them. That's going to take time. They all have a big promise. They all have a great story. I evaluate them based on results only. Forget about all their big stories. They're all the greatest. They're all going to get everything done. Show me your track record. I'm only going to evaluate people on results. All right. Now, you spend your whole life trying to be successful. Well, you will be successful, but you're going to have to think it out. So if you want to have a home business, everything that you could do in a real business, you can do from home nowadays. All right. The business person that's running the business must be assertive. If you're not assertive, you're not going to do very well. Now, my name is Ted Thomas, and right below me is a free gift for you.